Archangel Michael warns, someone you trust hid your blessing. There's a vital piece missing from your story, and you absolutely can't skip this. You are not hearing these words by accident today, chosen one. Something from a long time ago planned this moment for you. Is this the right time for God to tell you something important? Zip your lips completely. Not because you don't have anything good to say, but because every time you spoke out without His permission, something valuable inside you slowly lost its power. You've been trying to make people understand you when they were never meant to. You've been talking about a goal that only people in heaven fully understand. You've been holding on tight to something important, and don't understand why it keeps getting messed with. God can see how tired you are. He's not upset or angry. He's just watching as you waste things that were meant to grow. He speaks today, not out loud, but with all the weight of someone who only needs to say one thing. Shut up. You won't get in trouble for what you've already said. This is just to protect what's coming next. You can't force a certain kind of quiet for what's coming. There is a sound in the silence He's calling you to. It's the sound of something new beginning. I need you to do one thing before we talk more. Stop. Stop all the way, not just slow down. Let it wait if something else is getting your attention. You can't just skim this message, it's too important. It's not enough to just hear it as background noise while you think about something else. There is a reason why this message is in front of you now. Pay close attention to it. Take a slow, deep breath in. No matter where you are or how you're sitting. Take a moment to calm down before we go on. Because I'm not just going to give you facts that you can read while you're busy. You already know what you're about to hear. That part of you has been waiting for permission to rest. That's what God is trying to say to you through this message. I'm going to start with that tired feeling, because I know it's there. It's been really hard for you to be understood. Not because you want to be liked, but because you're carrying something real. And it's one of the loneliest things in the world, to hold something real that no one can see yet. When you tell someone about your calling, and they just stare back blankly, you feel a certain kind of tired, being worn out from having to defend what God put in you to people who don't understand. After years of giving the best answer to a charge, and seeing it go nowhere, they get tired. A deep tiredness that sets in after a powerful prayer, and makes you blurt out what you were supposed to keep safe. There's also a quiet truth beneath all of that. You keep talking, because being quiet feels risky. When someone has been misunderstood for a long time, being quiet can make them feel like giving up. It can feel like letting them know they were right about you the whole time. It may feel like you're stepping away from a story that still needs you, or a calling that hasn't come yet. But what if that feeling isn't true? What if the silence God wants you to enter isn't about giving up? What if it's about finally letting God decide what will happen instead of trying to write it yourself? I want you to know what this whole message is about before I show you what that looks like. It's worth your time to read it all. When silence seems impossible, you'll know what's really going on inside your body by the end. No, that's not a sign of spiritual weakness. There is a real reason for it, and a way to get back on track. You'll learn about what I call the 3 silences. These are clear signs that tell you what kind of silence you need to find and what it brings. I'll also show you a step-by-step plan that works for people just like you right now. Each part of this works together to make something bigger. Stay for the whole thing. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description, or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site, you are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today, join our community, and see what God brings back into your life. People who have been chosen by God will know when He wants them to be alone for 5 things. Even if only 2 or 3 of these really hit home for you, pay close attention. Not everyone listening is in the same season. The first sign is that you've been explaining your purpose to people who weren't supposed to understand it. And every time you do, something changes in a small way. It seems like your calling is a little less sure and alive now. Like you spoke it too soon, and let something important out of a container that wasn't quite ready. It feels less strong, because it was exposed before its roots were strong enough to protect it. The second sign is that when someone cuts you down, twists your words, or just doesn't get you, you feel compelled to respond. You can't leave it alone because of something inside you. When you're trying to sleep, you think about your answer. You write it out in your head all day. You might even send it, even though a small voice in your head tells you to wait. As for whether you were right or wrong about what you said, God is only interested in the fact that you couldn't keep quiet, even when that was exactly what was asked of you. The third sign is that you told everyone about something before it was ready. A vision that grew in you. A plan that seemed holy. A big step forward that you thought was on the way. It was brought to light too soon. It changed when you showed it to people you trusted. What was strong and clear when you were alone got weaker when you said it out loud. Some things need to grow in the dark. And you brought it into the light before its roots were strong enough to handle what the light brings. This isn't because those people were bad. The fourth sign is what takes place when you pray. You tell God everything about yourself, as if He needs to know everything before He can help you. And the silence in prayer, the pause, the 7 minutes of no words, no plans, and nothing asked for. That silence makes you feel like you're missing something important, and that a more faithful version of yourself would have more to say. But the fact that you feel uncomfortable with being quiet during prayer is the sign. God already knows what you're going to say next. You need to be still for Him to come. Fifth and most important sign: God has shown you things. He's told you things about your calling, and who you are in whispers when it's quiet. These are things He put in your heart, as a secret trust between the two of you. You've told more people about them than should have known. Not because they are proud, but because they care about other people. Being the only one who sees what you see hurts. You want someone to confirm that what you heard in the quiet was real, and not made up. And you're tired of carrying something by yourself that was meant to stay between you and the Father who put it there. Stay right here if any of those 5 things today made you think of yourself. I'm not here to judge you. This is a map that was made by a Father who saw all of those events and doesn't hold any of them against you. Not at all. He's using them to show you where you are and what you need this season. I can hear the Father telling each chosen person who just saw themselves in this. I saw all of those times. I wasn't missing. I was waiting. All of those patterns come from the same main source. Something that makes people want to talk or be quiet. This is true for all 5 of those signs. Let me take you to a dusty road in the late afternoon, where a king is leaving his own city out of shame. This will help you understand what it is. This man's name was David. It was this David who killed Goliath with a rock and a sling when no one else did. David was picked while his brothers stood inside waiting to be picked. David still smelled like the fields. The Bible calls this David a man after God's own heart. It was this day that he had lost everything. He had given the job to his own son Absalom. He could see the palace behind him. He could see the throne behind him. Every step David took, Jerusalem got smaller. He was walking into exile, which he hadn't earned, with only the men who hadn't left him yet. Then a man named Shimei showed up on top of the hill above the road. He was from Saul's family, and as soon as he saw David walking down below, he yelled so loudly that everyone could hear. Putting stones on the road was what he did. He swore. He said David killed someone. He told everyone out loud that David deserved everything he had lost. After that, Abishai came forward. He was a tough warrior who was totally loyal, and his sword was already half out of its sheath. When he said, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go and cut off his head," you could hear the anger in his voice. David only had to say one word to finish the job. With just one word, Shimei would have been shut up. David was strong. His army was right there. He was completely allowed to stop it. Instead, he said, "Let him curse. Maybe God will see my pain and bless me in exchange for the curses I'm getting today." Take a moment to think about that. David didn't shut Shimei up because he believed what Shimei said about him. His voice was quiet because he knew something that Abishai didn't yet. Father, who had picked David, was more than able to protect David. And the moment David spoke up to do what God alone should have done, God was no longer in the picture at all. David wasn't weak or bored when he was alone on that road. It was the best and smartest thing that happened in the story. He didn't say anything when everything inside him wanted to. And God thought about that quiet time. God wrote it down. After that, there was such a complete victory that no human argument, no matter how good, could have made it happen. There is a word in the old Hebrew Bible, in the Psalms that David wrote, many of them in times of waiting, hardship, and silence. 71 times in the book of Psalms the word is used. Most translations either leave it out or add a note at the bottom of the page that most people never read. Word is Selah. Most people skip over it. But the word tells you not to. There are three main ideas behind the word Selah: to stop, to think deeply, and to raise up. It's not just a pause between verses or a musical note that got left out of the text by accident. It's an order to stop, a full stop that was planned. What I just wrote is too important to keep reading without stopping. Sit here and let it sink into the part of you that words usually miss. Let it drop from your head into your bones before anything else comes in. When David wrote Selah in the middle of a psalm, he wasn't telling people to keep going. He was telling them to stop right here and let this fully land before you hear the next thing. What's really sad is that most of us have forgotten how to do what it says, not just that we skip over it when we read it. It seems almost impossible to really sit in a Selah, which means a full, slow, and deliberate stop. Things in our bodies have been going too fast for too long to know how to slow down. It's not that we don't want to, but that they do. That something is called something. Beta waves are what brain scientists use to describe the brain's normal state when it is under constant stress. When you're worried about money, relationships, or a calling that hasn't come yet, or when life seems to be full of demands that never end, your brain goes into a stress signal state. It's alert, ready to act, and always looking for the next thing to handle. That kind of silence isn't peaceful. It feels like a hole in the ground that your body tries to fill right away. Because being quiet doesn't feel like rest to a brain that is trying to stay alive. It's like going without something important. It makes you feel like you're behind. Your mind seems to slip away as soon as you stop talking. This is why you can't just try hard to practice the kind of Selah David did. The kind that comes from deep trust rather than being in a quiet place. You can't just tell yourself to be still and expect to be still. That's not how stress signals work. More than just where decisions are made. It's a frequency in the brain. This range of frequencies can be changed too. You just heard about the Selah you can't hold, and the stress signal your body sends without you telling it to. These ideas have been looked at in both ancient Hebrew texts and modern science labs. And there is a way that was made just for people who feel the same way you do right now. All the details will be in the next part of this message. But to be honest, what I'm about to tell you shouldn't come as a surprise. Two tools were created by two different brain scientists, working on two different projects. These tools address the two issues we've been talking about. The first one is called Genius. The gamma frequency is what it works with. This is the brainwave that most adults have slowly lost over time. The brainwave that goes with what I'll call the child mind is this one. This is the mind that understands things without trying too hard. The wealth signal is the name of the second one. It goes after the stress signal directly, which is the constant state of high alertness that makes it seem impossible to be still for a long time. I'll go into full detail about the science behind both. I'll tell them why their order is important and not a mistake. That will all happen, and it will all fit together with what we're building in this message. For now, you can find both of those paths in the comment that is pinned and the description below it. They'll be ready when you are. There is, however, a deeper and older layer below the stress signal. I need to take you back, before you were an adult, for you to understand it. You knew how to live in silence before everyone else did. Before having to deal with busy schedules, performance pressure, and the need to explain and defend every choice and action as an adult. There was a time when you could be completely still and just receive. You were interested without having to say it, honest without having to explain, and present without having to worry about what other people thought of you. Scientists who study how the brains of young children grow and develop have found a frequency that is most active in those children. It's known as the gamma wave state. People who have it are very creative, know things without thinking about them, and can take things in without always trying to make them happen. Now they know what happens to that frequency as kids grow up and become adults in this world. It is the decline effect, that the gamma frequency slowly and steadily drops below what it used to be. Over many years of learning how to stay alive, get rewards for doing well, and deal with the low-level stress of a world that never really calms down. It's not caused by one big event. The frequency that was normal for most people as kids hasn't gone away by the time they are adults. It's less clear now that the stress signal is louder and covering it up. It's still there, but the main voice isn't it. This is important because David didn't make up what he did on that road, that planned slow silence in the face of Shimei's curses. It was a return to a frequency that had always been there for the child in him. The mind that trusts without having to control is the receiving mind. I want to give you one more Hebrew word before we move on. You can find it in Psalm 4 and the Book of Lamentations. It leads to something that Selah only hints at. It's damn, and it doesn't just mean quiet. The English word, quiet, means that there are no sounds outside. Dimam talks about something much more deliberate and difficult. At its core, it means to be cut off from your own noise. Not the lack of sound around you, but the noise you make being stopped on purpose. Inside arguments, practicing answers, and always taking control of how people see you. Your mind keeps going over and over again. Why and how something is right, even when your lips are still. The Book of Lamentations says, "It is good to wait in silence for the salvation of the Lord." The Hebrew word for silence in this sentence is damam, which means complete internal stopping. Stopping your negative thoughts and letting go of the part of you that has been trying so hard to control things that only God should have control over. This is what God means when He says, shut your mouth completely. He's not just telling your lips to be still, He wants damon, the complete and deep silence of everything inside you that has been making noise to try to control what only He can make. We're about to walk that path together to restore that deep stillness that David pushed into on that dusty road. That kind of stillness costs something and makes something that no brilliant speech could ever do. Now that you know that, a path starts to become clear. It's not a new idea from somewhere else. It's more like something that was always there, but became clear in a new way. Before we go on, I want you to picture an eagle that isn't struggling against the sky or trying to stay high. Instead, it is flying with its wings spread wide and still, riding an invisible current of warm air that takes it much higher than its own efforts could have reached. The eagle isn't just sitting there. Even though it flaps its wings, it doesn't get that tall on its own. When the eagle stops trying to go its own way and trusts the current below it, it gets it. Being quiet doesn't mean nothing. If you hold on to silence for a long time, it will catch what you've been trying so hard to get for a long time. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Now I want to give you a way to deal with the silence that you are being asked to practice. There are 3 different types, and each has a different trigger, a different way to practice it, and a different result, because most people who are told to be quiet have never been told what kind of quiet they need. And if you don't know that, silence can feel like many things that it's not. The first silence is what I call protective silence. David used it on the road while Shimei cursed him from a hilltop. It's only for when someone has said something unfair or false about you, your purpose, or who you are, and you want to clear the air. The sign that you need to keep quiet is not how bad what was said about you was, but how you feel. The moment you feel like you can't leave it unanswered, that part of you won't stop until the story is right. That particular pressure inside is what made this silence happen. We're not kindly telling you to wait. It's a strong urge that needs to be completely ignored. When you defend something that was only meant to be made by God, you're not just using different words. He is being taken away from where he was standing. If you really think about it, you're saying that you trust how you've told your life story more than how he has told it. Not because David was too tired to answer, but because Shimei knew something that Abishai didn't know at that moment. David's name could be cleared by the same Father who chose him. And David didn't need to explain what happened after that road. David had to trust it. To use protective silence Picture the argument you were getting ready for the next time you feel the urge to act out. Make it clear. Hold it there for a second, and then slow down and put it down. 24 hours. No answer, no changes, and no explains. Keep an eye on what comes in when you leave the space blank. The second kind of silence is creative silence. This kind of silence is for when you're building something, like when you have a vision, a plan, or an assignment that's been quietly growing inside you, and you want to bring it to light. Talk about it, and share your excitement about what's happening inside you with someone who might agree with you. It took 9 months for Mary to carry what God put inside her before anyone told anyone, before it was strong enough to handle being seen. What was growing inside her needed to be hidden. The world can't mess with things they don't know about yet. There's a calling that gets stronger when it's kept secret, and some of its power is lost every time it's told to someone who isn't ready to hear it. Not because the people were bad, but because the roots weren't strong enough to stand up to what other people said. To practice creative silence is hard in a way that's simple to forget. Give whatever dream or calling you've been holding back, and feeling compelled to share 40 more days of darkness. Not ever, just for 40 days. Let it grow without worrying about what other people will say. After 40 days, you'll be able to tell the difference between a calling that's ready to be spoken, and one that needs more time to be hidden. Most people fight the third silence the most, since it asks for something they were never taught to value. This is receptive silence, and it's a part of prayer. Somewhere along the way, most of us learned that prayer is what we bring to God: our needs, our beliefs, and our long, sincere lists of what we want, need, and what we ask Him to do. Also, all of those things have their place. But there's a type of prayer that we almost never do anymore, one that doesn't begin with words. For 7 minutes, you shouldn't ask, say, or plan anything. Just be still in your prayer space, and let whatever comes up happen on its own. While you think about this, stop making words for a moment. Don't write the next sentence you were going to. Do not grab anything. Just be in the quiet, and let whatever is there come forward on its own, without trying to control it. What you heard in those 3 silences may have given you something real today, something that landed in the space between those words. Feel that right now. What you agree on here has power on its own. That's damn it. That's the inner silence the Father has been waiting for every time you've come to prayer, with too many things to say, and not enough space to receive anything. And I hear the Father saying this over each selected one who is still with me. The battles you've been fighting with your words, I've been getting ready to fight in your silence. I wasn't absent from the quiet. I was there, waiting for the moment you would finally stop making noise, long enough for my hand to start moving. You don't need more arguments. You don't need better words. You need your stillness, and you need to trust what I'm doing in it. I am not absent from the quiet. I live there. And now, so do you. To be honest, I'd like to take a moment to say this. Now to add anything else. And I mean the real kind. Not the kind you just talk about. The kind that sits in you and costs you something when you practice it. This has been one of the hardest things I've ever really committed to. It's not because the idea is hard, but because it needs trust, which can't be built through understanding alone. The faith that God will fill the space when you stop trying to do so. That quiet isn't empty, it's full of being. That what's going on in the quiet is more real than anything you could make in the noise. Having trouble with that right now doesn't mean you're not ready for this season. I want you to know that. You may be able to tell the most by that. This is the last and most important layer that ties everything we've talked about together. It's one thing to understand why silence is hard, but some chosen ones have known this for years and still can't do it. Not because they didn't believe. That's because understanding alone doesn't change the stress signal. Because you can't just wish the child mind back to life once it's been dulled. There needs to be a restoration that gets to the root of the problem. A frequency that comes back to a frequency. Two levels of conditioning, each with its own problem that needs to be solved in the right order for the changes to stick. First, heal the child's mind. And then open the way for the child to receive. That's the order. Not one without the other. The next part talks about both of them. 34 years. For that long, Dr. Robert Lake has been studying the gamma frequency, the brainwave that is linked to a child's natural ability to be open and receive. Along with brain scientists from MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and other top research universities, Dr. Lake not only figured out how the decline effect lowers gamma over time, but he also found a way to make the brain turn off that suppression. The Genius Song is the name of the tool he made from that research. Brain entrainment technology was used to make this 7-minute audio track. This means that it sends certain sound frequencies through headphones that your brain naturally connects with. There's no need to meditate. No practice before, not any special words. If you listen with headphones for 7 minutes, the gamma frequency that the decline effect has been hiding starts to come back to life. Not by making something new, but by giving you back what was always yours. It's like the child mind is coming back. This is the mind that can really experience Sela. This is the mind that knows how to be still and receive instead of striving. It's been used by more than 366 people. Not even 4 of every 100 people ask for their money back. It's used every day by the other 96. People don't do the same thing every morning if it doesn't improve their lives. Also, Dr. Lake gives you 4 extra resources for free when you buy the Genius Song. The first is a 6-minute audio called Genius Child. It was made to protect the child minds of the young people you care about before the world has a chance to dim them. Next is the real book that inspired the movie, The Secret. This is the original work, not a rewrite of it. It's worth the $20 on its own and is much more useful than most people think. The third is a 22-minute guided visualization that goes over 4 areas of life: money, relationships, health, and spirituality. It costs a $29 and is meant to follow up on what the audio starts. The fourth is a 112 guide that shows you 5 daily habits that keep gamma active after it's been turned on again. It's the link between the audio and the rest of your life every day. Altogether, those 4 extras are worth $80. They already have the Genius Song on them. If you buy the Genius song today, Dr. Lake may also give you another audio that is meant to protect the child's mind once it has been healed, so that the world can't easily dim it again. If that's something you need, your spirit will tell you. Forget about it. Before we go any further, I want you to understand this. Genius song makes you think of being a child again. The gamma frequency starts up again. Being able to be still and receive starts to come back naturally. A lot of people feel better from the very first time they listen. When the child mind wakes up, though it faces a door that is still shut. That's because the Genius song wasn't made to fix a second frequency. Even though the decline effect has been blocking gamma, something else has been going on below it, using the alpha frequency. This is the way that the subconscious can receive information as well as send it. This channel has its own unique block. Beta hyperactivity is what researchers call the over-activation of the survival response that most adults experience when they are stressed today. The constant looking, the striving, and the fear that you will miss something important if you stop working. At rest, this fills the space where alpha should be when it's running, which is the case for most people. When a child wakes up, the door that would let them get what was promised to them is still shut, because of the things that adults have put in the way. A brain scientist named Dr. Stephen Newton worked on this problem for years at Stanford and other top research institutions. He then quit to share what he had learned with everyone. He discovered 2 ways to stop beta hyperactivity and bring back the alpha channels: a 5-minute audio file and a 9-word script from a practice that is over 3,000 years old. These 2 things work together to get around what he called neural rigidity, which is the brain's learned resistance to receiving. The wealth signal is the name of his tool. Become like little children, then receive the kingdom. Wave 1 brings back the child mind. Wave 2 gives the child what they were always promised. That's the order. Not one without the other. The wealth signal is a digital audio track that you listen to with headphones. While the audio plays, you read a 9-word script that you keep in your mind. It works by shifting the brain from beta, the survival frequency, to alpha, the receiving frequency. This is done using ideas that have been kept secret for thousands of years in spiritual traditions, and that modern brain science has now mapped out in great detail. The stress signal has been sending out an unconsciously loud frequency of constant lack and never-ending effort. When the alpha channel opens, this frequency starts to fade. And in that peace, something opens up that you could never have reached by striving. The research that Dr. Newton did at Stanford, Boston University, Harvard, and other places led to findings that over 19,583 people have since confirmed in their own lives. Not even 5 of every 100 people return it. The rest of them keep using it. Dr. Newton gives you 4 resources along with the wealth signal. The first is a Door 97 book called The Millionaire Quick Cash Flow Blueprint. It reveals the passive income strategies that self-made millionaires use to make a steady monthly income. These strategies are especially effective when the alpha channel is active and your mind is receiving instead of straining. The second is an audio and video resource that costs $47 and explains the 5 second change that makes affirmations work. It addresses the exact reason why most people's affirmation practice hasn't given them the results they were hoping for. The third is a Door 97 document with 11 useful ways to get money in a range of situations, from small everyday needs to bigger ones. The fourth is a report of 20 documented transformations from people who have activated the wealth signal. This is worth an extra Door 97, and is the best proof that what is being said here isn't just a promise, but a pattern that keeps happening. You don't have to pay extra for the wealth signal to get the value of those 4 resources put together. If you get the wealth signal today, Dr. Newton may give you one more audio boost that will help your manifestation channel open at the right speed for the season. Take it if your spirit tells you to. But if not, what's already here is fine. You can now choose between 3 paths. I want to be honest about each one, because they aren't all for the same person. I'm going to call the first path restoration only. If the thing you've been missing most in life is the wonder of being able to be still and receive without trying, if Sela seems more like a spiritual challenge than something your brain can't do, this path starts with just the Genius song. It's a good place to start, and the first step toward what's possible. The second way is called reception only. The wealth signal alone can clear the stress signal blockage, if your spirit still feels somewhat alive, and if you can still feel wonder, but you can't seem to receive what you've been believing for. This path is real and right for the people it was made for, but it's not for everyone. Complete restoration is the third path, which has both waves in the right order. First, the Genius song brings back the mind of a child. Then, the wealth signal opens a channel for the child to receive. This is the complete restoration. And this is the path that most chosen ones, who have really thought about this message, need. Become like little children, then receive the kingdom. That's the order of both restorations, with nothing left out. You can find all 3 paths in the comment that was pinned, and the description below it. They'll be ready when you are. Start with the third, if you're not sure which one is best for you. Without a doubt, that's the way you should go. This time of year, when it's quiet, is very special. It's getting you ready for a big thing that's already happening on the other side. How ready you are when the door opens depends on how you use the energy of this season, the tools you choose, and the daily time you set aside to heal. Now is a very important time. Things won't always be this way. I have one more thing I need to say. Not every tool that says it can work with spiritual activation and brain frequencies is based on the research I've talked about. 34 years of work by Dr. Lake and a written record of Dr. Newton's research are strong bases. This information should not be shared with people who just use the same words, but don't really understand them. And if you want to know what the risk is, both the Genius song and the wealth signal come with a 90-day guarantee that lets you get your money back in full, with no questions asked. If your experience isn't what was promised at any point in the first 90 days, you get your money back in full. Someone was chosen, but I won't tell you their name. They went through what he later called his season of complete silence. Not because things were simple, but because his whole work life had been twisted in public. A lot of people with power and an audience questioned his calling, his work, and even his character. He made up his mind. He would not defend himself anywhere for 90 days. There was no answer, no corrections, and not a single word to anyone. Time went by. The accusations kept going without him. On day 43, he said he wanted to talk more than he had in years. He didn't say anything. On day 67, what he called his Shemi moment, someone told thousands of people the same false information in a very public place. He wasn't moving. On day 73, 3 people who had seen what happened in the beginning told him what they knew. But he did nothing. The truth came out in a place he had never been. And by day 90, the platform that had questioned him had sent him an invitation. I proved myself in silence before I promoted myself in public, he said afterward. The defense was so complete that I was sure no one could have written it. Without a doubt, someone other than me made it. Everything we've talked about now fits where it was always meant to. Not just in your head but in your life as well. And I want to give you a daily rhythm, because what you've learned in this message needs a plan to stick. Take 5 minutes in the morning, before the day starts telling you what to do, and the stress signal can take over again. The wealth signal in headphones. Listen. Newton's audio to move your brain from beta to alpha while you think about the 9-word script. When you listen, you're not getting ready to fight. By making this possible, you're letting what God has already planned come through. Like a child in the morning. You're not quite ready for what the day might bring yet. But you're open and hopeful. After at least 4 hours have passed between sessions, the genius song will be played in the evening. Let the gamma frequency remind you of what the day's stresses were about, because every day the world will try to dim your child's mind. The genius song is the daily reset. It plays twice a day, for 12 minutes each, in the morning and at night. And the 3 silences were practiced through their own natural triggers, as part of that daily rhythm. When you feel like you need to defend yourself, clear the air, or respond to something said about you, that is your signal. Give it 24 hours before you hear back. That you don't stay still, but rather give the Father room to move before you do. If you feel like announcing something that's still growing in you, like a vision that isn't fully formed enough to handle how other people will react, that's your creative silence signal. 40 more days. Allow it to grow in the dark. Before you show your calling to the world, make sure it can stand on its own. And when you start your prayer time in the morning, don't say anything, ask for anything, or make any plans for the first 7 minutes. Anything that is already there should be able to come forward, without you trying to control it. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary, where we discuss the Word daily, and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit Out Community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. I also have something important to say to you about this season you're entering that needs to be said straight out. You can be quieter without having to explain yourself to anyone. It's okay to spend less time with people or things that drain what God is building in you, as long as you don't give them a reason. You can grow out of the person who needed everyone to agree with and understand where they were going. You can let the Father prove that you are innocent, even if it means longer than you'd like seeing people believe the lie about you. You can keep what's holy to you safe, and you don't have to tell anyone why. You became the person you were always meant to be. The silence will start to feel wrong at some point, and for most people, that time is before 48 hours. You know you're avoiding something when you feel like you're being a coward and backing away from something you should be facing. One question will always tell you the difference. Is this silence costing me something? It's easy to get out of silence. It stays away from conflict because it makes people feel bad. It doesn't really cost anything. You leave the situation instead of facing it. And the relief you feel is like someone who just got away. Quiet for safety reasons costs something. You don't have to say anything to keep your ground. There's no doubt that it's the harder choice. There's stress inside that doesn't come from avoiding silence. It's not a sign that you're making the wrong choice. If the pressure to stay silent makes you fight a strong urge to speak, that stress is what the right one costs. Also, remember this: David's solution didn't come in hours, even though it seemed like nothing changed during the silence. Day 30 and day 50 will pass, and the situation you were trusting God to handle remains the same. The news about Mary hadn't been made in weeks. Sela doesn't have a set schedule for when to do things. The right conditions are made by a frequency. And whatever is moving in the world you can't see while you stay quiet doesn't need to let you know how things are going before the time is up. I want to say something over your life before this message ends. Not one last thought or word of encouragement to hold on to, but a declaration from a Father who doesn't waste words when speaking over a chosen one who has been ready to receive it through everything we've talked about today. Follow me to the end. Someone in a certain group will listen to this message all the way through. Not someone who wants to have fun. Not someone who came here by accident and stayed because they were interested. Someone who needed to be told, "Okay, I'll stop explaining. Okay to just sit still." They were told to trust that the God who called them hasn't forgotten what He promised, and that the peace and quiet in their lives right now isn't proof that He's not there. It's how He does His deepest work. No amount of words I could use could fully describe how strong your faith is. You are here, right now, reading this message. I want to take note of that. The Father sees it too. Now, picture in your mind every argument you've been working on, every defense you've planned and practiced, and every well-thought-out response you've been saving for the right time. You can see them there, in your open hands. Slowly close your hands now. Not to hold them more tightly, but to hold them one more time before you let go. Feel the weight of everything that has ever lived in your hands. After that, slowly and fully open your hands. That's the Dane. That was the peace he was looking for the whole time. No matter what time of year it is, you have been given the task of carrying the three silences. When someone trusts God to do what they can't do with their own words, they keep quiet to protect themselves. Someone who keeps what is coming together safe, until it is strong enough to handle being seen. When someone has learned that prayer isn't just what they bring, but also what they are willing to receive, they keep quiet. You really do have that mission. Over you, I hear the Father say, "You are the one I have been waiting to work through, not because of your silence, but because of it. What I'm planning to do doesn't need your words. It needs you to be calm and trust it. I'm not there in the quiet. I live there. Now you do too. You are a spiritual warrior who knows that standing your ground and not making a sound is the most powerful thing you can do. You carry the truth, and you don't have to say it out loud, because it's already present in the weight of your life. Because you are a voice. You know when to speak and when to be quiet. You have been picked, and the work of your silence has already begun. It's the same season right now for chosen ones all over the world. Not the same things. Different names for the charges. A lot of different ideas are being kept secret. But the same quiet, the same price, and the same loyalty. There are other people in the quiet with you. You're a part of something bigger than your own story. When talking, it would have been easier if everyone in the group had chosen to trust each other. It would have felt better to choose to be still instead of moving. That's the army that doesn't make any noise. You are a part of it. It's locked up. That's how it is. Type the word Selah in the comments if this message came to you at the right time today, and the Selah really touched you. Please let us know that you heard with one word. Please take this message as a sign that you are not alone in the quiet. Message found by someone else. Let everyone know if the three silences gave you something real today that you can use this week. The things you say here have their own power. Stay here if this place has helped you grow. There is more to come for those in this season. Someone in your life has been spending too much time trying to explain their calling to people who were never meant to understand it. They have been wasting time and energy on arguments that God never asked them to make. They're worn out. They need to be told they can stop. Talk to the person who came to mind right now about this. Not in general, but in particular. That person needs the package you got today. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided e-books and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.